Welcome to Cerita Mengubah Hidup. Have you ever felt like you were never enough, even after giving everything to the people who were supposed to love you unconditionally? This is the story of Adalah Wulandari, a woman who quietly paid her family's bills for over 2 years, only to be told not to come to her own mother's birthday because her job wasn't presentable. But what happens next will change everything. Stay until the end, because this might just be your story too. My name is Adalah Wulandari. I'm 32 years old and live in a small town about a 50-minute drive from Boston. Every morning, I make myself a cup of espresso, listen to the weather report, then walk to my office just over a block away from home. I'm the co-founder of a biotech startup in the healthcare field, a job that's not easy to explain, especially to people who think office work just means data entry all day. My family never understood what I do, or maybe they never really cared to. To them, I've always been the weird younger chigai, the one who dressed simply, never wore much makeup, and was always glued to her laptop or in some meeting. Tari Kusuma, my older chigai, is the one they're proud of. She's 3 years older than me, and has always been the perfect daughter in their eyes. Beautiful, graceful, soft-spoken, and charming. Even in family photos, I was just a faint shadow behind Tari Kusuma's spotlight. On Thanksgiving or Christmas, relatives would gather around her with praise. "Tari Kusuma, you look stunning in that dress." Or, "Tari Kusuma, your new boyfriend's a doctor." Impressive. And me? If anyone even remembered I existed, the line was always, "Adalah Wulandari. Yeah, she's doing something in biotech, I think." They spoke as if I were a footnote at the bottom of the page. I used to think if I worked hard enough, if I stayed behind the scenes and carried the load, then one day my parents would finally see me and be proud just like they were of Tari Kusuma. But no, all the attention, all the expectations, all the compliments. They were always hers. And me? I was always distant, dry, hard to talk to. They never knew I'd stayed at the office until midnight, handling a crisis for a public health project worth nearly $2 million 0 cents. They never asked how it felt to build a company from scratch with 3 college friends. When people ask about my family, I just give a faint smile and say, "We haven't spoken in a while. It's nothing. Not because I'm hiding something, just because there's nothing left to say. We haven't talked in over 2 years. No texts, no calls, no birthday wishes. Just silence, like a broken line nobody bothered to reconnect. I used to believe family was the place you could always return to. But one day, on my Ibu's birthday, that belief shattered. It was late March. I had just closed a successful funding round with an investment firm from New York. I planned to take 3 days off and fly back early to help my parents prep for Ibu's birthday, like I always did. Nothing fancy. I just wanted to help out, like always. When I called to let them know, it was my Aya who picked up. "I'm planning to come back early. Let me know if there's anything you need me to pick up or prepare," I said. I still remember his voice. Not angry, just strange. A short pause. Then he cleared his throat. "Adalah Wulandari, if possible, don't come home this year." I froze for a second, thinking maybe he was worried I was too busy with work. "It's okay, Aya. I've already cleared my schedule. I really want to be there." This time, his voice was firm. "Tari Kusuma is bringing her new boyfriend. He's a CFO, well-spoken, clearly successful. Your job? Well, it's hard to explain. You showing up would just invite comparisons and make things awkward. So it's best you stay." I went numb. My chest tightened, a cold sting crawling down my spine. I gripped the phone and said through clenched teeth, "Are you saying I make the family look bad? That I shouldn't come home because I'm an embarrassment?" He didn't take it back. In fact, He doubled down. If you insist on coming, then don't call me your ayah. Then he hung up. No hesitation, no second thoughts. My apartment went eerily quiet. The espresso cup in my hand had gone cold. I stared into the empty air like the world had cracked open with a single sentence. I didn't cry. I just sat there. And for the first time in my life, I realized something. I was no longer part of the family I had tried so hard to hold together. I sat there in my familiar armchair by the window. Early spring sunlight pouring through the white curtains, unable to warm the chill inside me. My ayah's words echoed again, clear and final. If you insist on coming, then don't call me your ayah. I looked down at my hands. My fingers trembled, not from anger, but from something deeper. The breaking point. I had always thought that even if I'd never be loved like Tari Kusuma, at least I was still their daughter. Turns out, I wasn't. I stood up and walked to my desk. Without hesitation, I opened my laptop and logged into my banking app. For over 2 years, I've been sending money to my parents every month, covering their electric bill, water, internet, even cable. Nearly $600, 0 cents a month, not counting the extra I'd send when Kartika said the fridge broke down or Pak Mahendra's car needed work. They never asked if I could afford it. They just said, Tari Kusuma's struggling after switching jobs. If you can help, that'd be great. And I helped quietly, as if it were my duty. As if responsibility were some invisible contract I'd signed the moment I started earning. I opened the transaction history and scrolled. The total popped up, 15,720, 0 cents. My heart sank. Not because I regretted it, but because even after all of that, I was never enough. I hovered over each bill, electric, water, internet. Click, then another. Notifications popped up. Auto payment canceled successfully. No alarms, no warnings, just silence. Just like how I'd always existed in my family. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was angry, but because I kept thinking about how everything unfolded. About what my ayah said. About how my entire family was willing to cast me aside just to impress Tari Kusuma's new boyfriend, a man I hadn't even met. I'd been compared all my life, but this was the first time I was publicly rejected, as if my existence was an inconvenience. Kartika's birthday came quickly. I didn't call. I didn't send a card. I didn't post anything online, not out of spite, but because I couldn't pretend anymore. At exactly 5 p.m., as I sat on my balcony, sipping peppermint tea, my phone buzzed. It was my Ibu. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then let it go dark. A message came in right after. Ila Wulandari, why is the power out? Can you check for us? I set down my tea and opened the next message from Pa Mahindra. No water, no internet. Call the providers. Your Ibu's freaking out. I sat in silence, eyes fixed on the tree line out back. No anger, no pain, just an eerie calm. They didn't ask, are you okay? Not a word about the phone call. They just wanted me to do what I'd always done. Clean up the mess. Then came a text from Tari Kusuma. The internet's down, guests are coming, and Kartika is almost in tears. What's going on? I picked up my phone and typed, 3 weeks ago. Pat Mahendra told me if I insisted on coming home, I shouldn't call him my ayah. I'm just doing what he asked. If this is inconvenient, maybe find someone you're not ashamed to introduce. I didn't send it. I deleted it. Not because I regretted it, but because I knew no matter what I said, they'd only hear what suited them. I set the phone down, leaned back in my chair, and closed my eyes. My little apartment was still and quiet. No complaints, no judgmental looks, no demands. The next day, Tari Kusuma left a voicemail. Kartika's been crying since last night. Do you know how important yesterday was? My boyfriend met the family for the first time, and everything got ruined. You're so selfish. I listened to the whole message, then turned off my phone. For years, I hadn't been selfish enough. Now it was time. I opened my work email and checked the weekend operations report. One subject line stood out. New Jersey staff transferred to Boston, awaiting approval. I opened the attached list, skimmed through the names, and then I stopped. Aditya Ramalan. That name made my heart skip a beat. I remembered it because just 3 days ago, my Ibu had mentioned it. Tari Kusuma's boyfriend, Aditya, works at a major corporation. I squinted at the file. Current position, head of finance, New Jersey branch, transferring to Boston HQ. Approver, Ila Willandari Warren. Co-founder. I let out a small laugh, just a reflex. The world was smaller than I thought. And I knew. What was coming had only just begun. I sat still in front of my laptop, hand resting on the mouse, my chest hollow, as if someone had taken a piece of my memory I'd clung to for too long. Nearly $16,000, 0 cents. Every cent of it paid by me, month after month, without reminders, without delays. And yet, not once had they said, "Thank you." Not once. I scrolled back through the payment list, the same lines repeating. $192.48, my electricity. $136.72, my water. $248.50, my internet and cable. Month after month, like I was their unpaid family accountant. Unseen, unacknowledged, forgotten. I remembered the last phone call with my Ibu about a year ago when she called around midnight. Just to say, Ila Willandari, the bathroom pipe burst. Can you call someone? Tari Kusuma's on vacation with her boyfriend. You're the only one left. You're the only one left. It sounded harmless, but it was a bitter truth. I wasn't loved like a daughter. I was just the solution when the ones they truly cared about didn't show up. And now, being told not to come home because my presence didn't look good, I finally understood. All these years, nothing I did was ever received with love. I was only remembered when a bill needed paying or a problem needed fixing. But when I needed something, no one was there. My phone lit up again, a message from my Ibu, Ila Willandari. I know yesterday got a little tense, but if you could take care of the internet bill, that would be great. Tari Kusuma is trying to keep things calm with the guests. I stared at the message like an outsider. No apology. No mention of the cruel rejection from my Aya. Just another request, like always. I set the phone down without replying. I stepped outside onto the porch, sitting in the wooden chair under the fading April sun. Boston wasn't warm yet, but the crisp air somehow made me feel clearer. I thought about Aditya, Tari Kusuma's new boyfriend, and now my incoming employee. The irony. My family excluded me from Bukartika's birthday because of him, while he was about to report directly to me. If life were a comedy, this would be its finest punchline. I returned to my desk and opened the email. The subject line stood out. New hire confirmation. Aditya Ramalan. Transfer to Boston office. I clicked on the profile. Everything matched. Age, experience, degrees, a polished resume. Exactly the kind Tari Kusuma would go for. Educated, established, charming on paper. I looked at the attached photo. Something familiar. Then I remembered. We'd briefly met at a conference about 6 months ago. He shook my hand and politely called me co-founder Warren, but neither of us made the connection. Or rather, I never cared enough about Tari Kusuma to know who the man beside her was. Now I had a choice. Approve the transfer or deny it. But I knew I didn't need to do anything. Life had already written the perfect script. I just needed to sit back and see what would happen when Tari Kusuma found out her boyfriend reported to the Chigai, who embarrassed the family. The next day, Aditya arrived at the office. He stepped into mine with a folder, his face slightly tense. When I looked up, his eyes paused on me, then widened in shock. "Ila Wulandari?" he asked softly. I smiled faintly, calm and composed. "Welcome to Pacific Genomics. I'll be reviewing the entire financial plan for this quarter. I look forward to working with you." Aditya froze. His face flushed, then turned pale. No one in my family knew I co-founded this company. No one had ever asked what I really did. They just assumed I was some low-level desk worker. I said nothing more, just slid the contract toward him. Aditya took it and quietly left the room. I leaned back in my chair. I wasn't happy. I wasn't sad. I just felt like the wheel had finally turned. And this time, I didn't have to say a word. The truth had spoken for itself. The morning of my Ibu's birthday, the Boston sky was unusually gray. A thick fog hung in the air, making everything look blurred, like the world itself was bracing for something to unravel. I poured myself a strong black coffee, sat by the window, and stared at the empty yard. I didn't plan to do anything. No texts, no calls, no birthday post. I just wanted things to play out exactly as they were, without me. At 9 a.m., my phone buzzed. First message from Kartika. "Ila Wulandari. Sweetheart, I think the power's out." Sweet, gentle, like nothing had ever happened. Like I hadn't been told by my ayah that I embarrassed the family and shouldn't show up. 15 minutes later, a second message. This time from Pak Mahendra. Still no power. Water's not running either. Is something wrong with the payments? Call the provider now. Short, cold, no concern. No mention of me being excluded from the party. Just a command, like I was still their logistics manager. I sighed. For 2 years, I'd never missed a single payment. Electricity, water, internet, cable. I'd canceled them all, one by one, the night my ayah hung up and severed everything, because I was hard to introduce. And now, on the very day Tari Kusuma was introducing her boyfriend to the family, the house was in chaos. No electricity, no water, no internet. Exactly as expected. By 11 a.m., the messages came flooding in. Kartika, Ila Wulandari, please, I'm begging you. Guests are arriving. Can you just help this once? Pak Mahendra, no electricity. We can't cook. Where are you? Take care of this now. Tari Kusuma. Seriously, Ila Wulandari. Today is special. Kartika's about to cry. There's no internet. I can't call anyone. I'm losing it here. Can you stop being selfish? I leaned back. My coffee had gone cold. The texts didn't make me feel vindicated. They didn't satisfy me. All I felt was emptiness. A quiet, unwavering emptiness. Then the phone buzzed again. A video call from Dewi Kartini, the only person in the family who still sent holiday messages, even if I rarely responded. I hesitated, then answered. Her old kitchen came into view, lit only by a phone flashlight. She looked tired, eyes slightly red. "Ila Wulandari," she said softly. "Your Ibu's in a panic. The house is dark, everyone's running around, and no one knows what to do." I said nothing, just looked at her. She paused, then added, not accusing, not defending. "What happened? You've never missed your Ibu's birthday. I know you have your reasons, but say something." I took a deep breath, keeping my voice steady. My ayah said I made the family look bad. Told me if I insisted on coming, I shouldn't call him my ayah anymore. What do you think I should do after that? Bu Dewi Kartini froze. Her face changed in an instant. In the background, I heard noise. My Ibu saying loudly, "She's probably just sulking. No one would be heartless enough to do this." Then a sharper voice. "Tari Kusuma, Aditya's almost here. Someone call the power company already. I can't believe she did this to us today." I gave a slight, joyless smile. Budewi Kartini heard everything. She didn't defend anyone, didn't say a word. And then, unexpectedly, the screen shifted. A new face entered the frame. Aditya, same neat suit, same polished expression as in his resume. He stared at the screen and blurted out, almost involuntarily, "Ayla Wulandari?" Everyone went silent. "You're Ayla Wulandari Warren, the one who runs Pacific Genomics?" I nodded, eyes steady. A long pause. Then Aditya turned to everyone in the room. "She's my direct superior, and the one who approved my transfer to Boston." Stunned silence. Tari Kusuma's jaw dropped. My parents froze. No one said a word. I calmly replied, "Hope your introduction today goes well." Then I ended the call. After the call, I set my phone down without another word. Outside the window, the dim afternoon light filtered weakly through the thick gray clouds. Everything around me was so quiet, it barely felt real. No voices, no follow-up texts, no calls. Just me and a strange, weightless sense of relief after a truth revealed, not by me, but by them. I didn't need to expose anyone. I just stayed silent and let everything unfold exactly as it was meant to. Aditya had confirmed it clearly. I was his superior, the co-founder of Pacific Genomics, the company they assumed I was just some desk worker for. In that moment, my family's kitchen became a stage where the masks fell, one by one, and no one could stop them. And Tari Kusuma, my chigai, the one who once whispered to Ibu that Ayla Wulandari should pick a job that's easier to introduce, now stood frozen beside a birthday cake that hadn't even been lit. She had tried so hard to impress her boyfriend with empty compliments and a picture-perfect family. But in the end, it was that very boyfriend who called me boss in front of everyone. I could picture the scene like I was watching a replay. My Ibu, so flustered she nearly dropped the cake tray. My Ayah, red-faced, gripping the edge of the table. And the relatives, those who only showed up for food and judgment, sitting in stunned silence, eyes darting around as they tried to process what just happened. And Budewi Kartini still had the call going, her gaze no longer curious, but something closer to respect. She didn't say much, just gave me a small nod before ending the call. That evening, I got the first message from Tari Kusuma, long, messy, a mix of anger and desperation. "You knew all along, didn't you? You let it happen right during the party? Bu Kartika's been crying all night. Aditya doesn't even know how to react. Don't you think that was cruel, Ayla Wulandari?" I watched the message pop up on my screen, but didn't open it right away. I made a cup of ginger tea and sat on the couch, letting the steam ease the tightness in my throat. I didn't feel joy, but I didn't feel guilty either. After about 10 minutes, I finally hit reply. Just a few lines, no need for more. "You say I was cruel? I was just at home. I didn't start the video call. I didn't call myself his boss. I didn't do anything. And if a single truth was enough to ruin the whole party, maybe that party was never built on anything solid in the first place." I hit send. I wasn't waiting for a reply. Half an hour later, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was my Ibu. The message was short. "I never expected you to choose this way to get back at the family." I closed my eyes and leaned back in my chair. Get back? Is that what they thought this was? I just remembered being shut out of a family event, having my role as a daughter dismissed because my job wasn't impressive enough. I remembered quietly paying dozens of bills over 2 years without a single check-in. I remember trying so hard to be accepted, to be loved, and now I was done trying. Around 10 p.m., I got an email from Aditya. Adalah Aib, I'm sorry I didn't know sooner. I truly respect you for your work and for the way you stayed silent today. I've never felt more ashamed, but not because of you. I read it, then replied slowly. Aditya, you don't need to apologize. Everyone is responsible for how they choose to see others. And don't worry, I never bring family matters into work, but I hope you understand now. Sometimes silence is the greatest strength. I clicked send, turned off my screen, and placed the phone face down on the table. Tomorrow, I'd still go to the office like usual. There would be reports to review, meetings to prepare for, and a world still turning outside. Only now, there was one difference. Starting today, they, the ones who once dismissed me, finally knew who I was. And without a single shout, without any accusations, I had made them go silent. The next morning, as I walked into my office, sunlight filtered through the glass panels, casting a warm golden glow across the room. The air was calm, as if the universe had given me a few quiet minutes to breathe before the day's noise returned. I sat at my desk, powered on my computer, and opened my email as usual. In the priority inbox, there was one unread message. Sender, Aditya Ramalan. I clicked it. Subject, apology. And goodbye, Adalah. I don't know where to start, but after last night, I couldn't sleep. I've been thinking. What happened probably shouldn't have happened in front of so many people. But at the same time, I feel a strange sense of clarity, especially about you. I'm not ashamed that you're Tari Kusuma's Chigai. I'm ashamed that I didn't see her true self sooner. I can't stay in a relationship where basic respect doesn't exist. As of today, I'm ending things with Tari Kusuma. Thank you for staying silent yesterday. And thank you for the way you lead, quiet, but strong and fair. Aditya. I read it twice, then leaned back in my chair. I wasn't happy that Tari Kusuma got dumped. I just felt something. Right. Like for the first time, someone outside finally saw what I'd been living with for years. The things I was told I was too sensitive about, or too cold for staying quiet about. I didn't reply. There was no need. But about 2 hours later, as I was reviewing the financial summary from the finance team, my phone lit up. A message from Tari Kusuma. Adalah, I know you're busy, but please can you talk to Aditya for me? He's misunderstanding everything. I looked at the message, calm and unmoved. I didn't reply right away. Less than 5 minutes later, another message came through. You're his boss. You have influence. If you say something, he'll reconsider. I stood up and walked over to the window, gazing down at the busy street below. All those years, I had wished for just one message from Tari Kusuma, checking in when I was hurting. One word of encouragement when I failed. But there was nothing. And now that her relationship had crumbled, the person she turned to was me. Not to apologize, but to fix it. I returned to my desk and typed, Aditya didn't leave because of anything I said. He left because of who you are. And maybe for the first time, he really saw it. Tari Kusuma didn't reply immediately, but about an hour later, a new message arrived. You're right, but I really don't want to lose him. I'll change this time, please. Just this once. I didn't respond, not because I was angry, but because I was past the point of explaining. When I left the office that evening, the early spring breeze was still chilly, but the sunset cast a deep orange glow across the rooftops. I walked to the parking lot slowly, without hurry, without worry. Maybe for the first time in years, I felt light. I hadn't sought revenge. I had simply lived my truth and let the rest reveal itself. Tari Kusuma had brought this ending on herself, and Aditya, once dazzled by the facade of a perfect family, had finally seen the foundation beneath, the one I had lived on most of my life. That night, I played an old playlist, the kind of music that used to make me feel invisible during my early startup days. But tonight, the melody sounded like a quiet affirmation. I had stepped out of the shadows, not by yelling, but by standing firm. And that's what Tari Kusuma, or anyone else in my family, had never seen coming. I didn't need validation anymore. I just needed to be myself and live what I truly deserve. That was the story of Ayla, a woman who didn't need revenge, because the truth spoke for itself. If you've ever felt like Ayla, silenced, overlooked, or not good enough, remember this: your worth doesn't come from someone else's approval. It comes from the moment you choose to see yourself clearly. Share this story if it touched you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss a powerful story from Bisa Cook,